This is a presentation of Chalk Talks, presented by the Playing for Power Project.
Title IX requires people to treat girls and women fairly, and it also helps change the way people think. But a law saying that girls can do the same things as boys is not enough. We also need equipment, facilities, and the same treatment. The people in this video help me understand how Title IX helps girls and women get the support they deserve.
Sports are incredibly important to me. They keep me excited and they give me goals and dreams to shoot for every day. In this video, I learned that Title IX gave young women like me opportunities to play sports and to work towards sports scholarships for college. It would be great if teachers would show this video to their classes. Many people my age don't know what Title IX has done for young women.
Sports belong to everyone, no matter if they are a boy or a girl, and Title IX made it possible. It's good for me to have girls to look up to.
Congress passed Title IX in 1972. In the years to follow, widespread changes occurred in both the number and quality of opportunities for girls and women in high schools and colleges. Equal access to education was becoming a reality, and the number of female athletes increased exponentially.
Title IX, I believe, has had a very positive effect on the education of girls and women, but in a kind of almost backward way, because the focus on Title IX in the press, for example, is more on athletics participation, and particularly in the early years, people forgot that it was much broader than that. And I think the conversation around, wait a minute, there's more to it than that, helped people then think about opening up opportunities.
Girls and young women are now more than half the nation's undergraduates, and there are other ways in which Title IX has caused immense opportunities to open for girls and women, including by making fields that were previously off limits available to them, reducing the amount of sexual harassment and raising schools' consciousness that they have an obligation to address it, and otherwise making clear that the kinds of stereotypical attitudes and quotas that used to constrain women's educational opportunities are now not only against the law, but a disservice to a segment of the population that can do anything it wants to.
Before Title IX, there were only 16,000 intercollegiate athletes, female athletes, and now there are 160,000 female intercollegiate athletes, and the same massive growth has taken place in the high schools. So the growth in participation has been outstanding. If you look at it from a team standpoint, when we started our study, there were a shade over 2 teams per school for females, and now there are over 8 teams per school for females. So the range of choices has increased. There were no scholarships when we first started, and now it is a way for students as well as their parents to see the doors of college unlocked for them.
In terms of the opportunities for girls and women to participate in sport as a result of Title IX, I think we now have a very good story to tell, but it was a very, very long time in the coming. I guess that shouldn't surprise us. It is a culture-based kind of issue, and cultures do get built up over long periods of time, and it takes time to take them apart. Once we decide they need to be taken apart, we get rather impatient, and we want it to happen faster. The first 10 years that the law existed, I think we made very, very, very little progress. As we look now, though, at the level of participation and the way we accept it, I think we can say that it was tremendously beneficial, and we can obviously still keep going and need to keep going.
I think the difference that Title IX has made for women in education and sport kind of are tied together. Because I think the fact that women had athletic opportunities probably pushed women, first of all, just to have opportunities to go to college. Some women who may not have been able to make that choice, but more strongly, I think, put women in a position to say, wow, I'm going to go to college, and now I'm going to go to professional school. Now I'm going to do this next thing, and I think those opportunities just opened up for women. I just think it just made women go to college with other purposes.
Title IX has also brought a wide variety of positive changes in the resources available to today's female athletes. Women have access to more facilities and equipment, they wear university-provided uniforms, and they travel to away contests in greater comfort and safety. The quality of their athletic experiences is much improved.
On game days, there has been a change, and I think Title IX has had an impact there. Because Title IX pretty much says that there has to be equity, the women now are able to use the men's facility, whereas before they were in their own gym, which was not the most beautiful place in the world to participate in. That was a struggle because many of the men coaches and the men players themselves, they didn't like the women infringing on their turf, so to speak, going into their gyms or on their fields or on their tracks or even in the swimming pools. They just didn't like that. But little by little, I think as time has gone by, that has changed. There is a little bit more equity in the use of facilities. There's equity in the use of equipment. The equipment is pretty much the same. There was a time when the women didn't get uniforms. They had to buy their own uniforms, and now, of course, the schools buy their uniforms.
When I first started coaching in '67, I would drive my own car wherever we were going, so we couldn't go too far, really. After Title IX, I would still be driving, but I'd be driving a van, a university van, instead of my own car. We seldom spent the night anywhere pre-Title IX. If we did, the students had to pay for it themselves, and I had to pay for it myself.
Well, certainly it's presented so many more opportunities and so much more support for what they do. There's just tremendous support at our level. I think I can truly say the women have the same kind of support as far as the support services go as our men have. Obviously, the media still don't cover our women's sports as well as they do the men's sports, and the attendance isn't as great for the most part. You know, there's some exceptions around the country, but for the most part it's not as great as it is for the men. But in everything else, as far as the quality of their sport experience, the quality of the coaching they're getting, the academic support, athletic medicine, physical conditioning, all of those kinds of things, I mean, it's just tremendous how much that's grown and been enhanced over the years.
The benefits of sport extend well beyond the playing field. Title IX has made it possible for many more girls and women to reap these benefits and to live more inspired and empowered lives.
It has given them a sense of purpose. It has given them a sense of being. It has made them more self-confident in themselves. They have learned how to work with groups. And all of the things that males have learned in sport, women are now learning and have learned. And it has helped them to live their lives a lot fuller than before Title IX.
I look at my niece, I look at young people today, and I know that Title IX, not only in sport, but Title IX has opened doors for opportunity in so many arenas. It will have a value that has no price tag because the sky is the limit. The thing that is so important is to educate and to empower. Education and empowerment is going to be the key, and to really enable young girls and young women to know their rights.
My older daughter in particular has had exposure to opportunities that I think were just simply unavailable to women back in the 70s and before. For example, she was able to participate on her school's varsity volleyball team. And I could see in the way that she developed, in her physical poise, in her comfort in her own body, in her growth of confidence, in her ability to put herself out there and yet to work as part of a cohesive team, an extraordinary level of personal development that I think is directly a result of Title IX's impact on education.
As universities began to work towards compliance with Title IX, athletic competition became a normal and acceptable activity for college women. In fact, women's participation in sport has become so normalized that some of today's young women do not realize that equal opportunity did not always exist.
We trained in the same facility as the football players, and there sometimes were sort of power machinations going on about who got to use the equipment when. And it sort of was made very clear to the girls that, you know, if the big guys wanted to go and use the bench, we had to move out of the way. And I actually wouldn't do that and got in big trouble a couple of times because I wouldn't, you know, get off the bench for the guys and, you know, sort of said it was my right as much as theirs and and, you know, really thought that that was the case. Like it never occurred to me that that isn't what everyone thought until they, of course, you know, let me know that that was not what they thought. I did track and cross country, and we didn't have any idea that the world had been different even 6 years previously. We just took our right to play whatever sport we wanted to as a given, and very much saw that as just what we did. So I think I started competing, I think I was 12 when I started competing. They got us in the weight room, regular weight training when I was 13. So I've been doing that my whole life ever since.
I think young people, part of their growth and development is it takes a while before they realize that they have been so positively impacted upon because they don't know what was before. They did not experience what was before to appreciate where we are today to the fullest that we would want them to appreciate where we are today. So I think we're still, the verdict is still out in terms of young people fully appreciating the impact that Title IX has had. I certainly can look back prior to integration and see many positive changes in our society. I can look at sport before the days of Title IX and see tremendous changes in terms of where we are, simply in terms of the availability of facilities and equipment. No longer do we have one coach for a women's sports program. We may have an assistant coach, or we may have several assistant coaches. Those things the young ladies today take for granted. They don't recognize that those are tremendous strides. Because they deserve it, and it's the fair thing to do, it's not a question in their minds.
Along with the number of opportunities, resources, and benefits for female athletes, overall knowledge and awareness of Title IX also increased over the years. As parents learned about Title IX, inequities in the sport programs for their daughters became clear.
And then what happened, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, parents of girls, especially dads, started to say, this isn't fair. The women's team has nothing compared to the men's team. Look at the locker room facilities, look at the training facilities. And they filed lawsuits. In the United States of America, every single one of those lawsuits filed by the women has been won by the women. And I think will forever be, because equality is a concept that U.S. courts and the legal process and judges understand.
We are not where we ought to be. There's been virtually no enforcement at the elementary, secondary level, where a lot needs to be done. There have been several lawsuits, all of which were either settled or won, where parents came in and sued the school saying, my daughter, our daughters do not have an adequate soccer field. The boys' field has bleachers and bathrooms. Ours, the girls, doesn't have bleachers, doesn't have lights, doesn't have a scoreboard, doesn't have bathrooms, and isn't even regulation size, and only the boys get to use the other one. And ours, the girls have to travel to it. They have to take a bus to get to it as well. Well, so all of those things people now see and get mad about, and they get changed to some degree. That's a huge difference.
I talk to my sons, and my sons are big-time advocates of women, period. They're being raised and blessed, not just me, but their father and their family, and also being exposed to Tennessee State, kind of just being hauled along by their mom from diapers to now. My sons play video games like most boys their age, and one of my younger sons said recently, why don't they have softball on video games? Because we were looking at the college softball championships. He said, it's a great game and they need to make a video game of it. And I was so excited. I was just so happy that he would view that. I don't know how many young boys would have said that though.
Since the passage of Title IX, women's participation rates in college admissions and sporting endeavors have skyrocketed. The numbers and quality of resources available to them have exploded, and the benefits of sport and education have served them well. The presence of women on the playing fields and in the classroom has helped generations of men learn to play and work with women and to respect them as equal partners in life. The future of our entire society is brighter because Title IX has opened the doors of sport and education to women.